Use what's called the distributive law. First, try using order of operations to correctly evaluate this expression, 4 times 2 plus 5, where the 2 plus 5 is in parentheses. Right, first you add 2 and 5 to get 7, and then you multiply by 4 to get 28. Let's look at this expression using dots. First, you added 2 and 5, so here are 2 green dots and 5 purple dots. Then you multiplied by 4, meaning you have 4 groups of these dots. So the total number of dots here is 4 times 7, or 28. Now let's look at the green and purple dots separately. Here we have 4 groups, each with 2 green dots, so we have 4 times 2 green dots. And over here we have 4 groups, each with 5 purple dots, so we have 4 times 5 purple dots. That means the total number of dots here is 4 times 2 plus 4 times 5. And so we've just shown that 4 times 2 plus 5, where 2 plus 5 is in parentheses, is equal to 4 times 2 plus 4 times 5. These are two different ways of counting all the dots here. We could count all the dots at once, or we could count the green dots and purple dots separately and then add them together. So looking at this equation, whenever you're adding two numbers in parentheses and you multiply that sum by another number, you can use the distributive law, which says you can distribute the outside number into the parentheses, multiplying it by each number inside. So we have 4 times 2, and we're adding that to 4 times 5. Let's try another example. Here's 3 times 6 plus 4, where 6 plus 4 is in parentheses. If we distribute the 3 into this sum, we have 3 times 6 plus 3 times 4. Try evaluating these two expressions to make sure they're equal. Nicely done. 6 plus 4 is 10, times 3 is 30. And down here, 3 times 6 is 18, 3 times 4 is 12, and 18 plus 12 equals 30. So these two expressions are equal, and it looks like the distributive law really works. Next, try using it on this expression, 8 times 9 plus 5, where 9 plus 5 is in parentheses. And remember that this dot is another way to write the multiplication symbol. Now this expression is equal to 8 times 9 plus 8 times another number. What's this missing number? Don't worry, this is not a trick question. Exactly, distributing 8 into 9 plus 5 gives us 8 times 9 plus 8 times 5. And you can double check to make sure these two expressions are equal. Now remember that when you're multiplying numbers, the order doesn't matter. So let's flip the order on the left side, giving us 9 plus 5 times 8. So even if the number you're multiplying by shows up after the sum in parentheses, you can still distribute. But in this case, we'll just draw the arrows going the other way. Next, let's see if distribution still works when we're subtracting numbers inside the parentheses. So let's look at 3 times 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2 is 5, times 3 is 15. So this expression equals 15. If we evaluate this with dots, we can start with 7 and then subtract 2. And then we have 3 groups of these dots. So the total number of remaining dots, after we removed these dots over here, is 3 times 5, or 15. But you can also think of this as starting with all 3 times 7 dots, and then removing, or subtracting, this group of 3 times 2 dots over here, again leaving us with the 3 times 5 green dots. So sure enough, 3 times 7 minus 2 equals 3 times 7 minus 3 times 2. So distribution also works with subtraction. When you're taking the difference inside parentheses and then multiplying by a number, you can distribute that number into the difference. Here's another example. 4 times 8 minus 3. Distributing, we get 4 times 8 minus 4 times 3. Evaluate these two expressions and hopefully you'll get the same result for each one. Nicely done. 8 minus 3 is 5, times 4 is 20, and 4 times 8 is 32, 4 times 3 is 12, and 32 minus 12 equals 20. So the distributive law works on subtraction as well as addition. Next, let's distribute on to 3 terms inside parentheses. Here we have 5 times 6 plus 5 minus 2. If we distribute, we have 5 times 6, and then we're adding 5 times 5, and then notice that we're distributing onto subtraction over here, so we should subtract 5 times 2. Go ahead and evaluate these 2 expressions and make sure they give you the same result. Right, so in this top expression, 6 plus 5 is 11, and then subtracting 2 gives you 9. 5 times 9 equals 45. In the bottom expression, 5 times 6 equals 30, 5 times 5 equals 25, and 5 times 2 equals 10. 30 plus 25 is 55, and subtracting 10 gives you, once again, 45. So sure enough, these 2 expressions are equal. And to summarize, you can distribute multiplication onto both addition and subtraction inside parentheses.